What's going on, boys and girls? It's your boy, Greggy, back at it again with another video. And today, if you can tell by the title, we're going to be talking about Day of the Tentacle Remastered. Oh boy! Day of the Tentacle, if you don't know, is a point-and-click adventure game that was originally published in around 1993 by LucasArts Entertainment, you know, the video game company that's now dead. Day of the Tentacle, otherwise known as Maniac Mansion 2 Day of the Tentacle, is of course a sequel to Maniac Mansion, which came out a few years before this game was released. Being a LucasArts point-and-click adventure game based in the Scum engine, it's pretty similar to the Monkey Island series, some older Sierra games like the King's Quest, Space Quest, Police Quest series, all that fun stuff. Day of the Tentacle is my first foray into the point-and-click adventure genre. If you've played any of these games, please leave a comment down below. I want to know your experience in the genre. The story of this game is pretty simple. The tentacles that Dr. Fred made, one of them decided, you know what, I hate this guy. I'm gonna turn evil. All the junk that Dr. Fred was pumping out into the water, he drank and now he's an evil dude. He's got arms now that makes him more powerful than the green tentacle. Bernard and the gang show up because Hamster Dude's like, yo, purple tentacle's bad, and now you go there and you have to save the day. But unfortunately for you, in order to save the day, you have to go back in time, and Dr. Fred's time machine, well, it just doesn't like to work well, and so from there on out, you're here to explore some adventures in the past, present, and future. Now, this is a point-and-click adventure game, so everything that you're going to be doing is all puzzles that are weird logic based on items that you pick up, and of course this time travel mechanic that is introduced pretty early on into the game. Switching between the past, present, and future, you have to switch items between characters so they can do things like solve puzzles that really just shouldn't make any sense, because if you believe in the multi-universe theory, but that's another thing for another day. Everything happens in this one timeline, and so anything that you do in the past will affect something in either the present or the future, etc., etc. And along with this time travel mechanic, everything just happens in the same exact house, mansion, inn thing. This time travel mechanic is what really makes the game unique compared to other point-and-click adventure games that you might be able to play nowadays. You have to switch between characters every once in a while to affect some timeline, like you might need a hamster to power a generator in the future, but you can't put a living thing into the chronogon. So what do? You gotta figure out some way to make it a dead creature, or somehow get it to the future. And because of this, along with the cartoony nature, a lot of the puzzles have a lot of loose logic to them. And I mean loose. This is a 90s point-and-click adventure game, so of course you have to wrap your brain around all these weird concepts that probably shouldn't be able to pull off, but you know, this game is meant to be played for a long time. And I think that's one of the drawbacks of this game. All the footage you have been seeing has been through a playthrough where I used a guide because I really wanted to get through the game fast. 1 and 2, it was during an extra live stream. Donate down below. This game requires a lot of patience compared to other games that you might be playing nowadays, because instead of having the action or the long grind and like something like Dark Souls, you have to do a lot of logic puzzles. You have to be able to think outside of the box in so many ways. You have to be able to understand what the characters say and keep that in mind. Almost everything the characters say can have an effect on how to solve a puzzle. It gives you so many subtle clues, and some of these I wouldn't be able to pick up on if it wasn't for that walkthrough that I used, but I think that's just my downfalls as a gamer, or I'm just not used to this kind of game. And it really sucks because I love this game. It's so funny. All the puzzles, once I figured out what they wanted me to do, they felt great, but I just don't have that kind of time sink to put into a game. And so I think if you are playing this game and you don't have a lot of time, I think a walkthrough is alright if you're stuck. Back in the day, if you were stuck, you either had to go to some like internet board BBS thing, or you had to ask one of your friends, you had to call in to some number maybe, I don't know. It's all that kind of fun stuff that, while might have been a lot more acceptable back in the day, just doesn't work in today's age of game design. And that's not to say it's a bad game. It's a really good game. But modern gamers who are used to modern game design and how games hold your hand a little bit more, how they give you a lot more in-your-face clues, not as very subtle, they're going to have a harder time grasping this game. But if you're into logic puzzles, if you're into all these kinds of leaps and bounds, or if you've played other games like this before, this will be right up your alley. And it is a relatively cheap game too. I believe it comes in at around $15. but I personally got it in a Humble Bundle, the Humble Freedom Bundle that came out back in February of this year. Now what's cool is that this is a remastered version of the game, so all the visuals have been upgraded, some of the UIs changed a little bit to be a little bit more modern, and that's really interesting. You can mix and match some of these. So if you want the more modern UI but you want the older look of the game, you can do that, or in vice versa. You can have the old music, you can have the new music, and there's also a button that you can press that just switches between the old mode and the new mode. Now another selling point of this game is that the first Maniac Mansion is playable in the game. This was true with the original release of Day of the Tentacle, but in this edition you also have the ability to play that game as well. So you technically get 2 games for the price of 1. So if you do want to play the first game, get up to the point where you just play as Bernard, the nerd character, go upstairs and you should be able to find a computer. I'm not going to tell you which room, but once you get onto that computer you can play the first game. I haven't played it yet, but I might play it some other time. It gives you a little bit more backstory onto like the characters, why they're interacting the way they are, etc. Well, you do not need it to fully enjoy the game. You can fully enjoy the game without having played it. It's pretty simple. The story isn't too in your face most of the time with how the characters' past relations have been. They're usually pretty upfront about that. So who would I recommend this game for? I would recommend this game for anybody who was into those old point-and-click adventure games of the past. If you enjoyed your Leisure Suit Larrys, your Sierra, like Blank Quest games, if you enjoy Monkey Island, any of that stuff, pick this game up right away. This is a classic, and it's also one of the first Tim Schafer games, which is why it is under the Double Fine brand when you pick it up today. Just letting you guys know. If you're not so much into the point-and-click adventure game, but you kind of want to understand how they work, you can also pick this game up, get a walkthrough, and then that might help you ease you into the genre if you really want to jump into the game. Looks beautiful, especially in its remastered graphics. They're very faithful to the original. It's just kind of like they increased the resolution and gave it a little bit more color. This is a product of the 90s, the early 90s of PC gaming, and I really enjoy that about this game. I like that 90s nostalgia stuff, even though I wasn't a part of it. But I recommend you pick this game up if you want to put in the time commitment or you just want to experience the story. With a walkthrough, it took me about 4 hours to finish the game though, so keep that in mind. If you're a big time to money guy, this isn't going to be the best investment. If you use a walkthrough, it's going to be a good investment though. If you're into these kind of games where you have to jump over leaps and bounds of loopholes and logic that just don't make any sense nowadays. Plus you get some pretty cool Steam cards. Well, that's all from me. If you enjoyed this, please hit that face right up there. That's how you can subscribe. Check out one of the videos on the side. One will be one I recommend to you, one will be one YouTube recommends to you. Check all the links down below to check out all of my stuff. Leave a comment. My name is gregandcin. I'm out.